Steeler Nation, we are back with another great episode on the Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy, Western PA Zone. We'll wait and we'll kick it. I'm Jay York Football. This is Mic'd Up Sports 1. Shane, hit it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco, Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Before I throw it back over to you, I wanted to talk about that hat you have on there and our partnership over at shopyins.com. Yins is the #1 brand for Pittsburgh sports. Finally, one brand to rep all black and gold. Make sure you use our code SICK15, and that's Shop Yins with 2 Z's. I just ordered that same hat. I didn't want to bite your swag, but hey, man, I just like the style. So hopefully it will get here by the weekend and just ready to rock and roll for the season. So make sure you head over there and check out everything that they got going on there. That's Shop Yins with 2 Z's. And Mike,
yes,
you
sir.
can take it from here.
No. You're good. Talk about swag. I got the whole ensemble on today, man. I got the T-shirt rocking and the hat. And it's very important, shopyins.com, because we're doing a giveaway as well. You know, I always say it, man. Who doesn't like free stuff? Come on now. Taylor was nice enough to hook me up with a hat and a T-shirt. He's going to do the same for some of our loyal viewers out there. Make sure you check them out. Hit the website. Sign up. Follow them on social media, and you can get some free stuff. Right before we bring our, of course, PA legend on, I want to talk about one more thing. It's Brushes and Beans Cafe. We're also very fortunate to have them as a sponsor. Get your coffee. Wear your Yin shirt. Watch the Steelers. You caffeinate and create. 4550 William Penn Highway in Murraysville. I've been tired this week, man. Leading up to the regular season, the Steelers are dominating the headlines. So I'm unable to sleep. I'm thinking of Kenny Pickett in my dreams, even though that's creepy. So Brushes and Beans helping us caffeinate for Steelers season all season long. All right, man. Like I said, let's bring him in. We're excited. We have a PA legend on the show today. You're watching the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. It is none other than Justin King. Justin.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for joining us, man. We're excited to talk to you. Obviously, Gateway Zone, you're an absolute legend. I got to just throw it out there. You were one of my favorite players growing up, man. I wanted to be a kick returner. What a specific position. I was like, man, I want to be a kick and punt returner because I see what kind of athlete Justin King is out here. And so you inspired a generation, at least over at Valley High School.
That's what I was telling you when we were at the golf outing, man. I was telling him that, and he was looking at me, and I'm like, I'm telling you, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we had a lot of folks at Valley talking about you. So just to touch on that a little bit, man. I mean, growing up in the Berg, Gatorade Player of the Year, just an incredible kind of journey for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a blessing, like coming up in Pittsburgh and playing football at the same time, because you come up and you have the Steelers organization as a staple in the city. So you talk about football being a community-based sport. You're growing up in it. So I'm growing up. I'm seeing like Steve Breston. I'm seeing the Ryan Mundys. I'm seeing the Rod Relafors. I'm seeing Shante Spencers and all the great players that are coming before me. So there's a level of humility when you're approaching it, right? And so I was also blessed to play for my dad, the associate head coach at Penn State, Terry Smith. And so like the guidance through the process and everything was a very targeted process. So we had a plan and we kind of rolled it out and went to Gateway and did some amazing, fun things.
Yeah, let's talk about Penn State football a little bit, man. You head over to the other side of the state. First of all, we know you're getting offers left, right, center. Could have went anywhere in the country. You said it was because your dad, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, he was my guidance throughout the process. So it was more so opening up. I actually committed to Florida first, and Penn State was my first offer going into my 9th grade year, going through the circuit and all that stuff. Ended up landing a scholarship offer to Penn State before I played my first varsity down in high school. So it was like I was playing with house money when I was playing. So I was playing a little more free, right? Because there was already money in the bag, figuratively speaking, nothing, no NCAA stuff. But
we'll get to that. We'll get to NIL because I know
we'll get to that
stuff with that now.
But I went to Florida, had a great time down there, ended up committing and got introduced to the business where the athletic director lied to me and said that the coach was going to be there for so much longer. And then the next day I got fired. So I was like, man, who's been telling me the truth this whole process and been consistent? And the way Penn State at the time recruited me, being 3-9, Joe Paterno, all that whole staff, they always recruited from a place of power, confidence, and they never begged me. And I always respected that about them. So I just kind of went about the process looking at like, who do I respect in this game going through? Because there's a lot of ulterior motives from stakeholders in the business, whether coaches, trainers, whatever that might be, and decision makers going through. So Penn State, where I felt comfortable and they could offer me a chance to get a great education, play both sides of the ball, get an early impact, and try to make it happen.
Yeah, for sure. You ticked all those boxes. Wonderful institution, football school. I got to know, though. I'm curious. Is that Florida Tebow years? Is this documentary?
It's right before. It's right before the Tebow year. So it was like when they were bringing in Urban Meyer. So when Urban Meyer came in, he started recruiting me. Is it too late? And I was like, I don't know you right now. So I'm gonna go here and go to Penn State.
Copy. Yeah, Urban, of course, making that switch from he was Ohio State before, and then
he was at Utah. He's Utah going to Florida.
That was it. Oh, now I remember. Of course, he beat Tyler Palco and Pitt in that Fiesta Bowl. I can never forget about that game. Yeah, that was Urban Meyer. Good call. All right, hey, before I send it back to Jordan, I want to keep on that Penn State topic. You got the Steelers hoodie on right now, of course. Joey Porter Jr., man. Everybody's excited about another cornerback out of Happy Valley. Tell me what you've seen in this guy. I'm sure you've watched a lot of them. I'm not sure if you had a chance to connect with him on a personal standpoint, but Joey Porter Jr., man. No way.
I recruited him to Penn State. So I was recruiting coordinator at Penn State in 2017 and 19. So I recruited guys like him, Michael Parsons, Pat Fryermuth, another one of my guys. Shout out Pat. And so I mean, you expect that out of Lockdown U, right? The DBs coming out of there, Brisker and him. But he's a unique athlete, right? Growing up in the business, his dad obviously playing as a major contributor for the Steelers, but just an elite type of movement skills for someone that's like 6'2", and the makeup between the ears is just like that calm, cool, collective playmaker that the Steelers will be looking for. And I mean, I'm excited to see how he progresses at the Steelers, right? Playing at his hometown and all those different things. But Joey was a fun recruit, man. Just seeing him from the junior year and just being like a question mark type of thing. And like, he was actually on the fence of us taking him. And our staff took a trip to the Steelers training camp. And he was in high school at the time. We all waited at the end, and I talked to him a little bit like, hey, man, this is some things we're questioning. We don't know position you're going to grow into, because he was extremely tall. As a high school kid, you don't know what he might be, a linebacker. His dad's huge or whatever. He gets out there at the end of practice. He's doing one-on-ones with Antonio Brown. This is a high school kid doing one-on-ones against Antonio Brown. And he's like mirror motoring. He's moving side to side with that type of length. And we were like, oh, let's get him now. And it's like he went from here to like, we have to have him. And that was kind of the recruiting story of Joey Porter, and the rest is history.
That's an incredible story, Jordan. Wow. Joey Porter Jr. versus AB, and JPJ is like 18 years old. Come on.
The whole staff in the back of the end zone watching.
Wow.
Unbelievable. So let's talk about you a little bit. Declared for the draft in 2008. Tell me about your combine experience, because we know that you killed it.
Yeah, it was a good showing from the speed standpoint and all those different, and the drills. I actually dropped a few balls, so that kind of bit me in the butt. But it's it's the prime evaluation platform. I mean, you get to show your talents. I was always a speed guy, and from that standpoint, but they put you through different rigorous. I can't say rigorous tests, but just the way that the days are going, right? You're talking like 13, 14-hour days. Like I ran my 40, like I ran 4:31, but I ran it at probably like 6:30 in the morning. So like like when you're going through it, like how you're training, they're trying to make you uncomfortable. How do you respond to it? You're having meetings all night. And it's really interesting, especially when you're going into meeting rooms, you're watching lowlights of your lowlights of your college career, and everybody's just drilling you with questions and what happened here. But it's a great experience. And I learned a lot about the depth of the evaluation. I mean, I always understood it, but obviously going through that process was pretty clean.
You know who beat your 40 time, right? You got to know that off the top of
Chris Johnson, man. Yeah, it was like, I mean,
one of the fastest dudes of all time.
So you ended up getting drafted by the Rams, and I think it was a ligament in your toe that kind of, just talk about how hard that was. And do you feel that injuries kind of derailed your career?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, football is 100% injury rate. So it's not an excuse. Everybody that signs up for this game, high school guys, college guys, pro guys, I mean, injuries are a part of the game. But it was actually, I left school early at Penn State, and I slipped to the 4th round. So I thought I was going to get drafted high first, early second at the latest. So I was like upset, and it was like interesting because I got into camp and I rose up the depth chart extremely fast. Was the 3rd corner going into the first game, so I was technically starting as the nickel, and I was having a great camp. We were practicing with Tennessee Titans and ruptured my toe. And in that, not that, I mean, with just to clarify, it's like your ligament comes off the ball of your toe if it comes all the way back. Yeah. And so that's what happened. So as a speed guy, you talk about the force going into the ground. Yeah. I had to learn essentially in the NFL how to run different than I ran my whole life and like operate, right? So from being a low 4.3, high 4.2 guy to trying to play like swimming in the water with sharks. And I was like more of a 4.4 guy, but it just changed how I had to move. I had to learn more of the game. And I also moved inside to play the nickel position when I got into the NFL. And then with that, certain things happened, had some hamstring injuries, and probably at the time just didn't learn my body fast enough to understand the maintenance of what I needed to be, as I was a different player. Like I was in college, I was 183, 184 pounds. Yeah. In the league, I'm playing nickel at 198, 199 pounds with like a toe injury that I'm trying to get over. So that was kind of what happened. So I think there's some things that I can take ownership on and just more so being aggressive on learning my body. Like that was my responsibility. And I didn't fully understand that because it was like, as a gifted athlete, you come in and you're used to moving and used to doing certain things a certain type of way. And learning how to move and operate in a new way in open water is a little difficult. But I made it 6 years, so I'm still blessed to have the experience. So now I'm going back and trying to teach guys the lessons that I learned earlier.
Yeah, we're hanging out here with Gateway star, Pittsburgh football star, Penn State star Justin King on the Sick Podcast. Steelers, crazy. I was curious, when you're talking about all that, how did those hurdles, if you will, contribute in helping you shape others' lives? The younger guys you're working with, the guys you talked about at Penn State, who feel like they're on top of the world, right, all the time. And so how did that kind of help you ground them, I guess, to a degree?
I mean, from that standpoint, I don't know if I like the guys at Penn State. Even when I was there, I was more so in the recruiting capacity. So it was identifying talent, understanding, evaluate what was between the ears. So we see like how people recover from injuries, how people go through the process. I mean, you got to remember the recruiting process is a 3 to 4 year process. So you're filling the pixels of a 9th grader all the way up to 12th grade. In the NFL, they're only looking at these guys for maybe 4 to 6 months. A C-level corporate job. I mean, maybe a 2-month interview process. So for that piece of it, I had a lot of the pixels in seeing the business of football all the way up until that point. So what I didn't mention was when my rookie year, when I hurt my toe, I was on IR, but I operated in the scouting department. So I had to make reports and present like offensive reports to the defense like every Friday. Like Corey Chavis, shout out to Corey Chavis, draft nasty, but he taught me how to like formally evaluate, like put my thoughts into paper and different things of that nature, and keys to winning, keys to victory. So we start breaking down players. So I was doing that as a rookie, like 2021, and working up in the office when I was supposed to be playing. But with that, using those evaluation skills into the recruiting process and trying to identify talent, like the guys that we mentioned earlier, to come to Penn State and get them back to where they needed to be.
All great stuff. Let's transition to the team that you're wearing on that shirt right there, that emblem, of course, Pittsburgh Steeler in 2012. So you know a little bit about that franchise growing up around here and whatnot as well. So let's talk about the current state of the Steelers a little bit, man. I mean, this is a team, obviously, that they're getting all this praise heaped on them so far for this incredible preseason that they are having. But that a lot more goes into it than just a few good drives in the preseason. What have you seen from the Steelers? Maybe Kenny Pickett specifically. And how do you think about what do you feel about their chances this year?
I mean, to be completely honest, I haven't watched too many preseason games, but just understanding the makeup of the team and where they're going forward, I think the expectations are pretty high, right? You got a super talented guy and Pickens on the outside, right? I remember him when he was coming out of high school and all these guys. So it's funny seeing them all now in the NFL. So like some of my context of a lot of these players, like a 17-year-old kid, and I'm not like seeing them here. So I'm like, oh, they continue to develop. But I mean, I'm always trustworthy of the leadership of Mike Tomlin. I mean, just in my years of playing football, like when you get a group of talented guys together to be able to lead a group of talented guys and get the maximum effort or maximum output from that, I would trust my organization with Mike Tomlin. So that for that, I would say high expectations moving forward. I mean, they drafted well, watching the different clips. I mean, they walk with a certain type of attitude. And even when I, dealt with the Steelers for a long time, Kevin Colbert was something like a mentor dealing with Coach Tomlin, and just the way that they identify that common thread of player has always been ideal or exemplified what I always wanted to do in roster creation and finding that thread line of players that kind of tick a certain type of way that match that organization. And I feel the Steelers do that to the T.
All right, how is Justin King defending George Pickens? You getting physical on the line with him? Are you trying to get it in his head mentally? I got to know.
Oh man, he's a primetime player, but I mean, I was pretty quick to do myself. I think I just kind of mirror motor, stay in front of him. I think he wouldn't be able to get away, but it's just like he's a 50-50 ball type of guy. Yes, I mean, you saw the play against Joe Porter. Yeah, I mean, that's my dude, but it's like that's an acrobatic catch, and I think that's something that you see from George Pickens, and I think the one thing that sticks out from him is just his fierce competitiveness, right? So you gotta, it reminds me of like the attitude of like an Anquan Bolden, but he has like the skill set of like a AJ Green type. So like that's kind of a different, different combination than the outside receiver. So I mean, I bring my lunch pail to that one.
Jordan, I know you want to talk about another Steelers corner with Justin.
Yeah, Patrick Peterson. You a big fan of his?
Absolutely, man. I remember young Patrick Peterson. He killed us when I was playing for the Rams. He was playing both sides in Carolina. I mean, not Carolina, but with the Cardinals. So we used to see them 2 times a year. So I remember when he came in as a rookie, he was an instant impact in the NFL, making plays that you don't typically see. And it was just like with that size, that type of mentality. I mean, that was early in his career. So now just moving back and understanding the intellect of the game. Absolutely. A huge fan of Patrick Peterson.
What are you up to now? I know you're working with NIL. You want to talk a little bit about, where everyone can find you to our viewers and what you're currently doing?
Absolutely. I run a group called Lig Sports Advisors. Lig Sports Group is the group, and you can find it at www.ligsports.com. But we help athletes, college, high school, and pro advisors through the process, right? Whether it's the recruiting process, understanding NIL, different opportunities, making sure you have a contextual understanding of the whole football ecosystem. And the same thing with college, right? A lot of things start to cross over from the recruiting process, making sure you're setting yourself up for leverage when you get into that piece, into the college and into the NFL. The one thing that's unique about football, I mean, the baseline is that it's to commoditize the player. So what my message is to the players that you have to specialize and make sure that you're separating yourself from the competition and making sure that you're finding these avenues of development. So you're the best player when you're 21, not the best player when you're 17. And
it's a whole new game.
Whole new game. NIL, all these different things. And sometimes those are all distractions on getting to the main operating optimal point of being the best player that you want to be at 21. Obviously, you can get money. Certain guys can get money along the line, but I'll operate as an advisor in that space. And LIG Sports is where you can find me, www.ligsports.com.
Spot on. Before we get you out of here, but I did have one more question. Is Penn State going to win the Big Ten this year?
Man, they better go to the playoffs or there's some problems. No,
that's the year.
So I would hope so. I would hope so. I think this is the year. I mean, again, we talk about that combustion of talent. I mean, I think they have that. They have, first year quarterback. He's like the one question mark, but he's a 5-star, number 1 ranked quarterback coming into the season. And you got the 2 running backs, the Long Boys. We talk about the secondary, 2 All-Americans preseason. You got Kalen King on one side. You got Johnny Dixon. You got a local Day Hardy, one of the top nickels in the country.
Where did he go?
Penn Hills.
High school.
Penn Hills. Probably one of the best senior seasons that has happened in Western PA in the past 10 years. You got to check that out.
Should have known that. I worked at the Penn Hills YMCA for a little bit. I'm a little bit detached. I'm down here in South Florida right now, so I've been here for a few years. But I can't wait to watch him. Shout out Penn Hills. We love Penn Hills. Jordan, you live right next to Penn Hills.
I'm
You're
here.
a Penn Hills guy. You're literally in Penn Hills right now.
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
Sorry to cut you off, Doug. What do you think about James Franklin?
He's a great coach, man. It's just an opportunity to get to the playoffs this year. And I mean, what he's done at Penn State, I mean, I don't think people recognize coming out of that sanction era, how tough that was. I mean, when I got there in the recruiting, it was hard to recruit. I mean, based on just the players that, I mean, whether left or came through the sanction at the time when you went through the sanction, I mean, just to say what it is, the level of player went down a little bit, right? Just in the sense of what the National Penn State order was. So for James to be able to recapture that and some with the dynamic staffs that he puts together and the culture that he's building up there, I mean, it's an effort that should be really looked at, because I mean, now here we are going into the playoffs, and the sanctions were about 10 years ago. And prior to that, we didn't know what was going to happen. So just like the talent, and I mean, think about just the guys that the Steelers, you got Pat, you got Joey, both first, second round picks. Like that's all from the recruiting classes that have been coming from Penn State. So promising future.
And props to you for putting in the groundwork to, the Steelers to have two superstars on
the
their
behind
team.
The scenes, man.
Talent acquisition, man.
You don't see it. You don't. Sometimes if it's not in front of your face, you don't know. So it's good to learn about it with Justin King here on the Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy. Justin, we appreciate you, man. It's been a blast. We'll do it again sometime.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
You got it, man.
Thanks.
All right, JY. Always enjoy talking to Western PA legends, man. We had another Penn Stater, Derek Moy, on the show a couple weeks back. So I know we have a Penn State demographic watching the show, of course. So this show is certainly going to be shared throughout the Penn State community. Go back, check out the Derek Moy show, share that one as well. And before we take off, man, and get you out of here, I do want to mention our sponsors once more. I'm going to talk shopyins.com. They hooked me up, man. They got good stuff. Hold on. I'll go ahead and do it.
I'm waiting for my hat. I'm jealous.
I'm gonna do it. Hold on. You see that?
There it is.
We got that. It's like a Steelers Nation.
Are you flexing?
Flag. It's not just a Shop Yins shirt. It's a Steelers Nation flag on the back, essentially a Yins flag. So Taylor does some great work. Support local business. Shopyins.com. Code SICK15, and we got a giveaway this week. This hat right here, we're going to give. It might not be this hat, but it's a sick hat, Jordan. And you get coffee too, right?
Yeah, and shout out to our other partnership over at Brushes and Beans, Caffeinate and Created, Brushes and Beans Cafe. Visit them at 4550 William Penn Highway in Murraysville. They have parking. You pull right up. Great atmosphere. They have pottery, art. If you just want to go and read a book and hang out. Like I say, I always just get a double shot of espresso to start my morning and go do my,
go do 100 push-ups.
That's at like 2:30. But before that, when I got the chore list from my wife, so
I'm head over to Brushes. You do more than 100 push-ups. You do way more than 100.
Hey man, we just get to work, just like the Steelers are going to get to work.
Yes, sir. And the regular season's right around the corner, so we're excited about that. We got some
great
big things
episode
coming here.
Justin King, man. Like you said, man, I just remember in high school, man, Justin King, Terrell Pryor, like these were the names. Like
they were the names.
And then I am. Here we are.
Man, these guys literally were icons, man. And they still are for a lot of people in Western PA, a lot of football players that have been inspired by these guys. So no doubt, always a pleasure to have them on. Thank you guys. It's
a pipeline.
Begins watching the Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube as well. We want everybody to tweet it out. We want some shares, comment under it. Follow him on Twitter at JYorkFootball. Me, I'm at Mic'd Up Sports 1. JY, always a good time. We'll catch you guys next time. Season is almost here, baby. It is time to unveil something very fun coming up. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Ooh, Shane, take it away. Ooh.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.